But
Oh,
yeah, man, I
also,
can't stand when somebody got a whole bunch of makeup on their face
mhm,
and they don't
mhm,
know how to hug you and they want to go,
mhm.
oh, brother Mike or brother Rodney or brother Atticus. I like that, brother Atticus. That's gonna be my monogram from now on.
Atticus.
Brother Atticus, come
Brother
here
Atticus,
and
come
give
here.
brother Atticus a big old hug.
Mm-mm,
And she got 3, 4 layers of makeup upon
mm,
foundation, and it's like they just rub the whole face to get the whole face imprint on you.
for
And
real
you be
though.
wearing a nice, crisp white shirt that you just purchased, and now it's got to
Hmm.
go in the trash.
Right, because like you,
It's not coming out.
it's not like you've soiled my shirt. Even like for me, I'm a fan of hoodies, so I feel like if one of my hoodies is ruined, bruh.
Ooh, I'll be real mad about a hoodie.
If it's a hoodie, I'm like, man,
That's
I'll be
why
so
I've
upset.
learned to start just wearing dark shirts a lot to
Hmm.
church. Like, don't get me wrong, I
Makes
don't have
sense.
that issue in my church for the most part.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
like all the women are pretty much very conscientious about like when they hug, keeping the face off of you.
for sure.
You know, there's one I
Hmm.
can't be mad at her. It's my elder. She's like another mom to me. Love her dearly. She's
Hmm.
like a lot shorter than me because I think she might
Hmm.
be like 5'1" or something like that. So
Hmm.
like when we hug sometimes, because a lot of times we hug from the side and everything. When we hug a lot of times, my arm being the way it is, kind of just like grabs her head, because you know how
Hmm.
big I am. So if I'm
For sure.
hugging you going low, my arm's more than likely grabbing your head. And so a couple times it's happened with her, and I don't even trip about it because I'm like, it is what it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, for the most part, most women in my church, all the women in my church are very conscientious about that. And they try not to ruin people's shirts like that. But I've seen other people, like I've been to other places and I've seen other men come out of other churches and like I'd be like, yo, I don't have the money to go to your church. I gotta pay my tithes offering and then I gotta buy a new shirt every week.
All right. Hey,
Like, you know how
look,
much these dress shirts cost for a man my size?
they are not cheap at all. I bet.
Gonna have to start shopping at the thrift store for church on Sunday. It'd be terrible.
All right. Like, you can tell when something is like not made for you, or like it's like it doesn't look complimentary on you. Like it look like you just grabbed it. Honestly, that's all they had. That's all they had.
Hmm. By the way, so I'm settling into my new place kind of nicely.
Turn up.
Yeah, viewers, like listeners. So we haven't posted the last 2 weeks. I moved 2 weeks ago, so there's been a transition period and everything. Also, there is one issue in this place. Um, my room is like really far from the modem. They apparently have like 2 extenders, but the extenders are actually give a weaker signal than the actual modem to my room. So, um, at any point where it sounds like we're going out or something like that, just notify me, Rodney, so I could pause while my computer does this thing with the internet because it does this sometimes. Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the behind, bro.
Mm-mm-mm.
I'm almost at the point I want to take this iPad and put it on hotspot mode and just use it. Oh my goodness, that is an idea.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful idea. I might do that. I might experiment with that later. But yeah. So how's life been, Rodney?
Actually, life has been good. Yeah, life dip has been good. We finished wrapping up our Christmas play again, where I played Joseph for the third year in a row. It was great. Every year gets better and better, and God definitely had His way. Just because I'm gonna say this was the most nervous I've been on any production that I have done.
Interesting.
Just be, you said what?
Interesting.
And it's crazy. It's like, and this is something like me and the director was speaking about, where like majority of the times when we do productions, normally it is like during rehearsals, it's smooth, got a few hiccups, like you rehearse the lines, go over blocking, things of that nature. Show goes up, boom, everything goes fine. But this was the year where it's like anything you could envision happened, where people said they were going to do the role, then they weren't able to, then people not showing up to rehearsals, and it was just like, and the musicians, the bands, they weren't really clicking or on point. It was just like a lot that was going on, and but prayerfully, by the grace of the Holy Spirit, that opening night was a success. Everybody was able to come through, and it was definitely amazing. It was good. Even for me myself, even I was because for me, I was just mostly worried not about me, but for other people because you know when it comes to them knowing their cues or their blocking, knowing where to go. Even like the first day of us just simply trying to go over just one more time for the final scene, and there was some hiccups about that. I was like, oh my gosh, the curtains go up in like 2 hours. We're messing up on the very last scene, but but everything went smooth that night. It was great. It was amazing.
So I got a
Uh,
question for you, Rodney.
Go ahead.
So, like, how would you react if you came home one day and your wife's like, "I'm pregnant"? Gonna be happy, right?
Excuse me. Is it mine?
So that's the following question. What if she comes to you now and your excitement? She's like, "No, I need you to calm down." And she's like, "It's not your kid." How are you gonna react, Rodney?
And this is my wife, right?
Yes, y'all just married. Not even
Um,
consummated the marriage yet. Let's say y'all was tired wedding night. I don't know how you be that tired wedding night. I for dang sure couldn't be that guy, but hey, say y'all that tired wedding night. What is your reaction, Rodney?
I got so many questions, Mike. I hope you have bail money. No, matter of fact, I already got money set aside. I'm just gonna give you authorization to get the
Do I
money
need to
out,
go ahead and just set aside a bail money fund for you account for you?
just in case, just in case,
Now,
because I
what
know.
kind of a crime we talking about? Because they like to play around with bail money.
I know I can't say this is a recorded line. I'll do it to you on a whole different phone that I'm gonna get from Family Dollar. Okay.
Family Dollar.
I can't say that.
Little track phone. All right, bro. So okay. So now I asked that question because I'm like, you've gotten 3 years in a row. Sounds like you're getting used to hearing, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
honey, I'm pregnant," and you
Mm-hmm.
like, "How you pregnant? We ain't slept
Mm-hmm.
together." The
For sure.
gods, it's God's child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can we
Mm-hmm.
stop for a second, just talking like how
For sure.
ridiculous that must have sounded to him? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what you
Mm-hmm.
mean, God's child? It's
Exactly.
I'm pregnant from the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
Yep.
mean, pregnant from the Lord?
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's crazy how the way how you said it, you saying right now, Mike, that's exactly how we did it in the play. Like Mary, she's just so just so did see like yes the Lord came to me and he said I'm pregnant and just as Zechariah and the wife and blah 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 blah. And for me at first I'm like you gotta be kidding me, like just like no. But then as we're building the scene like sentence by sentence, the more she's confident, the more pissed off I'm getting. And you know what, like that. No, that's why I love the assistant director Vince. I love him till this day. So he's like an acting genius. Like he said for this line for this scene, Ronnie, I want you to get a stick. Like so we use a paint stick that we got from Home Depot, and he says on the very last line, and in the middle of the sentence, I want you to snap the stick as you're saying what else. So I'm like really, Mary? So what snap else did he say? So over time, like I'm just building and building. So like, and I get so upset, and like every time we do that scene, it gets better every year. So a lot of people in that scene, they mention like y'all really make the Mary Joseph thing so believable, and how like the only difference is just the verbiage that's being used, but that's really how he felt. And so y'all's bringing it to modern day times using the different verbiage, but like we brought it to life, and that's so amazing. But
And I
honestly, if it
think,
was me, go ahead.
mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
But honestly, like that's how I would react. That's how I would react.
And I think we have to. I think we need to like really read the words sometimes, and like instead of being surface level with it, because like people go, "Oh, well, Joseph handled it with like decorum and all that, and he was gonna try to secretly put her away so she didn't get killed, because he cared for her and everything." And I'm like, "Yo, hold up."
Hmm.
The man said he was about to go ahead and get rid of her. All right,
Hmm.
It took an angel coming down from heaven to
Mm-hmm.
get this man to not do what he was about to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's not even say like, oh well, he was all
Mm-hmm.
cool with it. No, he was not
Mm-hmm.
cool with it.
No,
And then
he was pissed.
you gotta think about the explanation she gave. If he believed her,
Mm-hmm.
then he wouldn't have been about getting ready to divorce her.
For sure, definitely. Yeah, like the way how my line went when the way how the line goes where so Mary says the Lord says, "Behold, I will do a new thing," and I interrupt her, Mike. I say, "There's nothing new about this. Do you know what you've done? You committed adultery against me. I will dissolve our marriage contract because of your unfaithfulness." So I grab the contract, I rip it in front of her face, and I say, "That's my verdict. Leave me, leave my house. I loved you so much, Mary. You made your father's name an abomination in Israel." And then she says, "No, but Joseph, you're a just man." And then I say, "It's because I'm a just man. I must do this. I can't marry you. I can't say that baby is mine. The only way I'll believe a new thing if an angel comes down and speaks to me too."
But you know the
Then the
crazy
angel,
thing about those lines,
hmm
they were already married,
right, exactly, right.
and it technically it wasn't adultery, right?
Mm,
So
hmm
the reason this was such a big deal is if you go back to like
hmm
if you go back to Deuteronomy, I'm pretty sure it was in Deuteronomy, right?
hmm
When they're talking, when part of the law that they followed was God said, if a woman is is a woman's a virgin, right?
hmm
And if a woman's a virgin and she gets married, right? The husband's supposed to bring the cloth out from taking her virginity and give to the parents. And the reason behind that was because in the law, it said that if she said she was a virgin and he went and came to her and it turned out she wasn't a virgin, because of her lie, he could bring her back to her parents and then and he could bring her back to her parents, tell them, yo, she is a lot she's not a virgin. Y'all lied to me, she lied to me. This is it, and she would be stoned. So it was a big deal back then.
hmm
But if she never said she wasn't a virgin to begin with and he knew what he was getting into, then that was a different story. So presenting yourself as a virgin and then lying about it and him getting rid of you would have gotten Mary stoned, which is why that was such a big deal because he
hmm
just got married to her, but he didn't have sex with her yet.
hmm
She was still a virgin. He never had sex with her. So he's like, how are you a virgin and you pregnant? Like,
Exactly.
the math ain't mathing, bruh.
Math
You
ain't
was
mathing.
trying to
Yeah.
get me to go ahead and sleep with you real quick so you could go ahead and so you could say I got you pregnant. Like, you got to
hmm
think about how these people are thinking. Because remember when he got married to Mary, okay,
hmm
when he wed Mary, she was young still.
Yep.
That's why he didn't just smash her on the first night when they got married. She was still young. So it's one of those things that's kind of crazy. It's like, yo, like Mary and everything, she is excited. Yo, the Lord said I'm pregnant. It's it's his baby. Like, right? If some woman came and said that in present day, without this biblical story even ever been told, right?
hmm
We would be like, you're insane, or you think I'm incredibly stupid,
Man,
or
she
both.
be man, she be on the shade room.
Yeah, like you out your mind if you think I'm gonna believe you saying that. Secondly, if they ever said it nowadays, even with what we know, we're gonna be like you think I'm stupid,
Exactly.
or you just playing with me right now. Like you
hmm
clearly playing with me because you don't care about how I feel about the fact that you got pregnant with someone else.
hmm
It's a crazy little story, bro.
I know, right? So I know this is random. I know we haven't gotten to the topic as of yet, but bro, did you hear about the Jonathan Majors
Bro,
verdict?
I was just I was just watching and reading about that when you called. So what I'm mad about, right,
hmm
is he clearly thought that he didn't like, and clearly he didn't do this, is what he's saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have to go to trial for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like he could have took that on, like he could have took that as a fine, restraining order, and all that afterward, beforehand, and not taking the whole case to trial. And because he took the case to trial, is now he's about to be in jail for this. But I look at this and say, I don't know about all this, right? His girlfriend, wow, his girlfriend
Right.
admitted to physically attacking him. All right. And the video
Mm-hmm.
shows him pushing and forcing her into a vehicle before he went away.
Mm-hmm.
Twice. So they're saying, oh, there's a pattern of abuse in a relationship, blah, blah, blah. And where I'm mad about is he decided to get a trial by jury.
Mm.
I think that's where his mistake was.
Mm.
Because, you know, when you in stuff like that, you have two options. You can have the judge try it and make the ruling decision, or you can have a jury try it. They said the jury, it was not an overwhelming, it wasn't an overwhelming a conviction that he did it. The jury, it was almost half and half.
Mm.
But I think it was just like maybe two more people, or one or two more people that were leaning in a direction that he's guilty. So he barely lost to begin with. So now the man just lost literally everything over this, when he could have not taken it to trial. So
Exactly.
it's one of those things for me. I'm like, it's kind of weird, but at the same time, I don't know. It feels kind of Tory Lanez to me, man.
Yeah.
Because
True.
like now you got Meg out, and we getting into gossip stuff now, I guess. But like you got Meg out here admitting basically that it was her friend that actually shot her in the foot, like everyone said in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, like he said in the beginning, like the
Mm.
other people said. And Tory Lane's still behind bars. That's our justice system, folks. When it
Man.
comes to abuse against a woman, do not go to court if you don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
unless you have
Man.
overwhelming evidence that it wasn't you. You didn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm staying in the house.
Now, I'm probably going to get backlash on that comment right there because, you know, there's this whole believe all women thing that's going on right now. And the whole,
Moving
oh, well,
forward.
he actually did it. The court found him guilty. Okay, the court found the Central Park Five guilty. The court found, we're going to go off of what the court finds guilty. Like, our justice system is anywhere near perfect.
Far from that.
Like, super far from it. The court finds everybody guilty.
Right.
As long as they need some more people in prison, like their quotas are not up, the court's gonna find them guilty. Like, come on.
Guilty until proven innocent.
Right. Oh, let
All
me
right.
tell you about this police stop I had.
Oh man, tell me what's up. What's
All
going
right,
on?
so y'all, I have not had a ticket since I had gotten into my car accident back in January of 2017
Mm-hmm.
when I wrecked my Honda. Right. I've been very good about not getting in accidents. I've only been stopped by a police officer one time, and that's because I was lost and I apparently made a turn when there was a sign that said no turning here. Like, it was weird. It was actually weird the way the whole situation was set up. And the cop was like, did you see the sign? And I was like, sir, I'm not going to lie. I saw the sign that said no turns. And for some reason, because it had an arrow pointing to the right, like that was the only way you could turn. In my head, it read no left turns. And he was like, he looked and he was like, "You from Texas?" I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I have no idea where I am right now. My GPS isn't working, and I have to make a delivery, and I need to get back. I need to at least get to the city where I'm going, and hopefully my GPS will be back on." And so he tells me where I'm supposed to go and everything. He's like, "All right, just be careful and all this." And I'm like, "Thank you, officer." Right.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Friday, I'm
Okay.
driving to go get my hair done. Right.
Turn up.
It didn't get done.
Oh man.
While I'm driving, and I knew it was a sign, man. So first off, this song I put on a Quincy Jones station, right, for radio.
Okay.
And the first song that played was God's Trying to Tell You Something. And
Mm.
I was like, man, that feels kind of weird. 5 minutes later, there's a cop SUV that puts its lights on. Now he's like 3 cars behind me.
Okay.
So everybody, including me, starts pulling over slowly to let him go by. He gets right beside me basically and stops. And he's looking at me and I'm like, I'm getting pulled over. For what?
Like, what did I do?
So I pull into this liquor store parking lot.
Liquor store parking lot.
I know, right? No, I'm sitting here. Like, I don't know what in the world is going on. So I got my license and registration out. And this is how I knew something was up. He came up to the window. Now, the reason I said that about the first guy, right? Because it's also in Georgia. Mm-hmm. They could not read my registration because my plate doesn't have registration on it. It's very important. Mm-hmm. Texas does not have registration on the plates. Your registration is on a sticker in your windshield and on the paperwork. So I have my registration and ID ready for him, right? And I'm about to get my insurance pulled up on my phone. He comes and he's like, oh, is that your registration? He's like, I don't need it. I just want your license. Now, Rodney.
Yes, sir.
I already know what this is.
What's up?
Bro, you pulled me over just to run my license because you ain't got nothing better to do but to try and see if you could pull up some information on me and see if you can get me a ticket, like if there's a warrant or something out.
Shaking my head.
Because you didn't ask for my registration. You didn't ask for my insurance information. You cannot run it from your system and your computer because it's not Georgia. Like, it's already been established on this, right? Then he comes back and says, well, I stopped you because your third brake light is out. And I looked at him like he was stupid. And I was like, what you mean my third brake light? Because in my head, I'm like, man, I got 2. One on the left, one on the right. And I know they both working.
I'm like,
I just changed those bulbs like 5 months ago. And so he's like, no, your third one, the one that's in on the back of your cabin above the bed of your truck. And I'm sitting here like, that little light in the back of my truck up top, you're saying that's out, and so you're going to pull me over for it? And I'm like, you pulled me over from a few cars back because you said that light was out. So now I'm sitting here thinking, this man really just trying to just play with me right now, right?
Pretty much.
He goes back with my license again to his car. Again, did not try to get my insurance or my registration. He's just trying to pull up information on me.
Trying to find something, yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I already know what the game is. So I'm like, all right, let me make a phone call. Because I need to see how legal this traffic stop is. Because I'm like, well, this, like, both my main brake lights work. Like, this light is not even a thing. It's really not a thing, bro.
It sounds like it's not a thing.
It's not a thing. Like, I know you've seen my truck before, right? So, you see a truck, the back of like, right above the back window, there's that little light. That's what he's saying was out.
Man, that don't make no difference.
The brake light part of it, like the backing up part, like the white light was on, but the brake light's not working apparently. So I called. I got 2 friends in the police department, right? So I got Courtney. You remember Courtney? We used to work with, right?
Yeah.
She works for Atlanta Police. I got a guy, the drummer of my old church, Donald, works for DeKalb County. So I called Donald, and I'm like, hey, like, what's the deal? Is this legal? And he was like, bro, the way the law is worded, the law literally says that all brake lights on a vehicle that a vehicle has must be in functioning order. He was like, it's a stupid little technicality, tic-tac little thing. And he was like, most officers ain't going to pull you over for it unless they just trying to find something on you. So now, here's what makes me sweat. And I was like, all right, thank you. I'll hang up with him and everything. I see the officer get out the car and sprint at me.
Oh,
So
sucky ducky.
I'm starting to get like, oh crap, what in the world? This man
Mm-hmm.
gets to my window, throws the license in, it hits the floor. He's like, gotta go. Gets back in his car, puts his siren on, and flies off. And I'm sitting
Excuse
here
me?
like, what in the world just happened? So I'm like,
What
all right.
happened?
So I'm like, either one or two things happened in my book, right? One,
Mm-hmm.
he got a call about something going down. Now, mind you, I'm in Monroe, Georgia, bro. Ain't
Mm-hmm.
nothing going down in Monroe. So, one, he got a call and something like that happened, right? Two,
Mm-hmm.
he was in the car and realized he had nothing on me and realized that I knew something was going on because of the way I was looking at him when he didn't take my registration or my insurance information.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he cannot run on his computer. So the second thing I'm thinking is he acted and did that so he can get out of this without me like reporting him. Because the first thing I was doing is when he pulled up to me and talked to me like that, like telling me that's why he was pulling me over, I just looked straight at his badge and started looking at the numbers real quick.
Yeah, trying to, yeah,
Yeah, like no, it was like I'm like no, like if we gonna have this interaction right now, like you're gonna be held accountable if you screw me over. Like
for sure.
I'm not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a weird thing. So yeah, I didn't get my hair done because I was like, you know what, I'm sick of this place.
Wow, that was something. That was definitely
I ain't
something.
driving through here again.
At all. At all.
I was like, next time I'm taking 85 up there. I'm not taking the
Right.
back road. The back roads are quicker for me, especially from where I live. Like it's now like a 45. I think it's like it's like a 50-minute drive now to get to old lady house that I was going to get my hair done at. But if I take the interstate, I think it turns into no, it's like a 45-minute now. I think if I take the interstate, it's like 5 or 8 minutes longer. But if I take the interstate, I ain't got to go through none of them little waterhole cities, and I can just go straight from the interstate straight to her city, get off, and it takes me 10 minutes to get her house from there. So from now on, that's what I'm gonna take. Basically,
Mm.
I'm not playing that game anymore. But that was interesting, bro. We like
Mm.
half an hour into the conversation now.
That's all right.
But yeah, so how's your love life?
Excuse me?
Yeah, how's your love life?
Huh?
Shout out your
Oh.
girlfriend, bro. You got a nice one.
uh, leave me alone. I'm not doing this right now with you.
Nah, shout her out, bro. Look, Angelise, my boo, I love you. Hearts and kisses, XOXO from the Godman Podcast. Hey, hey.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who that is, but yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
forgot
crazy.
your girlfriend's name because I was going to shout her out if I remembered it.
Oh my gosh.
Nah, seriously though. How's your love life going, bro? Is it good? Relationship all right?
Things are good. Things are going good. Things are going good, man.
I'm
Can't
glad to hear
complain.
that. I'm glad to hear
Everything's
that.
good. Everything's good. You know, I'm definitely in a better headspace for real, for sure.
I'm glad to hear
Definitely.
that, bro.
How about you? How's your love life, man?
What love life? Negro, I'm as single as can be
Single as
and
a Pringle?
enjoying it. I've gotten to a point over the past few years, and I think everybody who's listened to the podcast will kind of see the journey I've taken on marriage and everything over the past year, and seeing how my viewpoints have changed. Because it's been a few years that I've
Hmm.
been like I wanted to get married, but at the same time I didn't. It was like kind of teeter tottering. Now I'm at the point I'm just like I don't want to get married at all. Period.
Mm.
And it's gonna take an act of God for me to get married.
I don't know. Like honestly, like, hearing that from you is actually shocking. Actually.
Well, I mean, you have to. It comes at a point of self realization, right?
Hmm.
One, and this is the first one is the one that's probably going to piss off people the most. I don't see many women here who are of the marriage material and here's the and part because I know a lot of them that are marriage material, but and have the same value set and viewpoint of marriage as I do. I think I shared before. I got a boy. I shared with you a friend of mine in the church, strong in his belief and faith. Got married a few years ago. He got married in 2018. Had a kid a year ago. Like his kids like year and a couple of months now. Yeah. His kid's a year and a couple of months now. And he called and shared with me. He was like, Mike, I need you to pray for me. Yeah, I'm getting divorced. And I was like, what in the world? He's like, yeah, I'll talk to you later about it. Then he called me the next day. He was actually in the courtroom for the first proceedings, in the court building. And we talked about it. And he was like, yeah, I think she just liked the idea of marriage and everything, but didn't want to put the work in and everything. And she just doing this, and she's saying these kind of things and making stuff up about this and this and this. And I'm just like, yo, this is wild, fam.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not putting nobody's name out there and everything, but like, so he's in the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he does, I forget what it's called. It's something kind, I think like honor guard or something. It's the guys who carry the caskets.
Oh, those, okay. Yeah, I need some.
Yeah, so he does that. His old lady tried to say he had a drug problem and like a drinking problem. But do you know what the issue with that statement is?
What?
The man was getting drug tested every time he pulled his thing out to pee because of what he did.
All right.
But like all this other mess, she said all this and this. But point being, she's from a traditional African family. So at this point, I'm just like, look, this nothing safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's the culture in this country and like this society in the West and all that. It's like, and I hate to sound like that because I ain't trying to sound like none of these like super misogynist or super what was it, red pill dudes or whatever it's called right now, where they're like, oh, you gotta be like the most macho manly man and just like knock your girl over the head and tell her, get in the kitchen and make me some food, be barefoot and pregnant, but also look as sexy as possible, submit to me, know I'm gonna cheat on you, and you gotta be okay with it because I'm just that top G. Right? I ain't trying to sound like that because I think all that stuff's ridiculous. Like, I understand why it's happening because people are frustrated. And so, like, things are swinging back to that kind of thing. But at this point, I just look and I'm like, this is not a culture of marriage. And
it's not.
It doesn't encourage it. I mean, yo, a few months ago, Emily Ratajkowski came out and was like, let's make divorce chic.
Heck no. What?
Like, this is what we're coming to right now. Our divorce rates are super high. The family has been destroyed. And even if you try to start a family, do things the right way, if you end up with like the woman is, and it sucks to say, but they are incentivized to leave. It's a contract that they're incentivized to break. Because if they break it, they still have access. They can get rid of you, still have the child, and still have access to your resources.
And what do we get?
Moving in with roommates.
Right.
I know a few people that are like that. Like, I know a guy right now. He's living with his brother, like a bro of his, and was and all this because he had got divorced, and the way the money thing's set up and how much they took the house that he had bought, gave it to his ex-wife. He was fine with that. They took the car. He was fine with that. They had two. All right, that's whatever, right? Then they told him, you had to pay this much money every 2 weeks. The amount hurts. And they said that's with you having her on your insurance. If you don't have her on your insurance, it's going to cost this much. Also, you only get to see her basically 4 days a month. He only has rights to see her every other weekend. Is it every other weekend or is it 1 weekend a month? It's one of the two. So I'm sitting here like, wait a second. So your ex-wife took the house. She continues to get money from you, a large amount of money from you,
Hmm.
and you don't have access to your child when you want to.
Man,
What is the point? That's
for
my thing
sure.
for me. Is like, what's the point? I know we had Pastor David on here, and he was challenging. He was like, get married, do this and this. But I look at it now, and I'm like, I'm gonna be honest.
Hmm.
I think the church overall, because they acknowledge like marriage is the bedrock of a
Hmm.
society, of a healthy society. The family unit is the bedrock of a healthy society, and we can look at this in all societies right now. And like the healthiest societies are the ones that still have a nuclear family.
Hmm.
Whereas like countries like the United States, the UK, France, all these kind of Western like civilizations, the family units deteriorated, uh, which has forced women to take on more masculine roles. They're incentivized to leave, blah 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 blah, welfare, all that stuff. I'm not trying to get too deep into that right now,
Hmm.
but it's created a society where boys are raised by their moms, don't see their dads. And I'm not talking about all the, oh well, he's a deadbeat dad, all this and this and this. I'm not talking about that. And I'm talking about, and that's typically not the actual like thing either. Like we like to. This is a side note, Rodney.
Listening.
Why do we automatically believe women when they say the men are deadbeat dads?
Because they're the ones that's left to tell the quote unquote story about what's going on. So it's not like he's there to take the word for it. So they automatically deem that.
Right, and because we go, oh well, he's not here, but we don't know what he is being put through from her. I
Hmm.
knew. Check this out.
Listening.
Can't say names. Okay, I knew this guy.
Who knew this guy? Who knew this guy? Who knew this
No,
guy?
no, no. I knew this guy
Hmm.
who hadn't seen his child
Hmm.
in 8 months, and the entire time it was because the mother of his child, because she's mad that about the breakup and all that, and she don't like him, and she's bitter and angry towards him and spiteful. She uses the child in a vindictive way. She goes and tells the courts that he's this and he's this without any proof, and the courts just believe it. So he's getting child support. He doesn't get to see his daughter, and then she goes and she tells everybody that he doesn't want to be around his child, and he's a deadbeat dad, and he don't care about the kid, and he makes it difficult on her with child support, and he don't help out with other things around like for the daughter and everything.
Hmm.
Now here's the crazy thing, right? Because I met her and she
Hmm.
didn't know I knew him, and this is all the poison she's spewing. But what she didn't know is what I knew was in the meantime, he's fighting in courts to try to force her to let him see his kid. I got another boy, guy I graduated high school with. And I don't know if I told you about him. He got divorced a year or so ago, 2 years ago, and he's fighting to try to see his son. He's got a young son as a toddler right now. Woman is sitting. I had to appear in court for him. Woman's sitting here talking about he's this and he's this and he's this, and I'm like, she's completely trying to besmirch his character. She claimed that
Hmm.
he abused the kid, did all this mess, locked him in bathrooms, all that mess. And I'm sitting here looking like, all this man wants is to see his son because of how much he loves his son. You think
Hmm.
he would do something like, but this is the kind of stuff that's going on. So in a society like that, where even if when she gets married, she might be one way, but she might turn into a different way, especially because of different influences of culture,
Hmm.
media, and friends. Why should I want to take a risk like that when I'm perfectly happy now by myself? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's the first reason. That's a long reason. The second reason is because I've come to know myself better, Rodney.
Hmm.
Brian, I don't like sharing my space with nobody anymore. Like, I'm gonna be real, keep it a buck with you. I don't like sharing my space. I can't imagine having to share a bedroom with somebody at this point.
Hmm.
Like, I don't like sharing a bathroom. I'm not the best with sharing a kitchen, I guess. I just kind of want to be left alone. Like,
Hmm.
and also, like, relationships take too much energy. I
Hmm.
have goals that I want to accomplish that having to take time to care about somebody's emotions
Hmm.
and to love them, because love is a verb, not a noun. Um, take time to love them, to do all these things and take them out on dates and all that. I would rather be writing. I'd rather be in music. I'd rather be doing something. Like, I'm more goal driven than anything now, Rodney. Like,
Hmm.
I want to accomplish things.
Hmm.
Now, I know people will say, well, you need to have a significant other to accomplish things, and like a woman's going to help push you forward. No, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Woman is made to be a helpmate. She's made to cultivate and to push a man forward. She's made to be a spotter to point out the inadequacies in a man.
Hmm.
Yes, they're made to be the other half of you. I understand that. I also understand that I don't necessarily need one to be able to get to where I want to go. So that's why me. But in church culture, we have this thing where everybody expects you to get married, and a lot of churches, especially more traditional ones, will look at you as if. Have you ever seen this, Rodney? Where you're getting older because you're creeping up on 30 now too.
Yeah.
Where
You're
they
right.
sit there and they think something's wrong with. They ask you what's going on. They think something's wrong with you because you ain't married yet. Like, have you experienced that yet?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Hands down. Yeah, when I went to go visit my home church, New Direction Church of God in Christ, like when I visited them a few months ago, I saw the my pastor, and then he just asked me like how how I been, how things going, and things of that nature. And then he talked about preaching, and he also talked about some like, no, you still single? I'm like, yeah. And he said, did you find your wife yet? I'm like, nah, pastor, I'm still looking. What he said, well, come on, son, you can't be young and single forever. You good looking man. You gotta find your wife. Gotta find your helpmate. And I'm like, pastor, I hear you, but no, these chickens ain't clucking like how they used to be. These chickens ain't clucking how they used to be. Not for real though. And who else? I'm trying to think. This one else asked me that question. Has anyone ever asked me that question? Um, I think someone from the play, like one of like one of the singers, whatever. Like she was asking me what was I single or not, just or was I dating or married to anybody or engaged for real. Then I told her like, nah. It's just like I don't know. I think for me personally, I think. Well, I guess I'm outside the spectrum. So I for one cannot wait to get married, find my helpmates, reach purpose with, have kids, go on trips, all this other
You
stuff.
just
I
ready to
can't.
go to Pound Town.
I can't. Anyways, I cannot. Honestly, I can't wait to do that for sure. But also for me, there is like a little downside to it because I feel like the I feel like just like how you mentioned how society is nowadays, it's relationships are more transactional and more like materialistic for me nowadays to find that substance. The relationships aren't like how grandma and granddad was. Like there's no substance or foundation with it. It's more the lines of what can you do for me or what you can do for me. If not, I'll go on to the next person who can do that for me. It's like I don't see that for this generation and moving forward. It's more the lines of now. Don't get me wrong. Even though this is a podcast, and I'm not saying don't listen to us, but I'm tired of going on social media and I see these podcasts talking about what men should do and a woman should do and the statistics and blah blah blah, or my man gotta have this. I'm like, it's too much. Just everybody shut up. Y'all are not relationship gurus. So for me, you're getting all this information, and, like, Mike, we always talk about this about watch what you put into your spirit. You're getting so many opinions and these likes and views, and you're getting so many people giving this information. You don't know which people you should feed into. So now your values is all over the place. There's no blueprint, no concrete things of which you should look for relationships. So now you're just looking at what everybody else is saying. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm like you. That's why I say, like, nowadays nobody knows what they want. You just want what is trending or what culture says. So there's no foundation with it. So I don't want to emotionally, financially, and mentally invest myself with a person who um values more of what they can get out of a relationship instead of what they're putting in. I think that's the difference between if your relationship with someone who has Christ as the foundation and the only foundation and leading, and there's a reason why I'm saying that, but compared to going to a relationship just because it looks good on paper or it looks good for the gram, which 9 out of 10, majority of the times when people are in relationships, they care about how they look compared to other people. Now let's just nip it in the bud. If your man does not, now Mike, let me know if I'm getting off track, but like, just
Nah, go
because,
ahead, cook, bro.
I'm just saying, like, look, ladies, just because you walk into a room and you see a 10-foot teddy bear in the room with a whole bunch of balloons and hearts everywhere and a bubble bath full of roses and some slow candles burning all along the dang hallway,
Ooh,
that's not the
that's a
only
bad
qualification.
image.
I'm clear. That's not the only image that will deem him as being husband material. Just because he can fly you out does not make him husband material.
Ooh, say it
Just
again. Repeat that, please.
just because he fly you out does not make him husband material.
Come on.
Just because he can buy you a Birkin bag does not make him husband material. Just because he can take you on this, that, and the third, just because he can take you out to dinner on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just because, I'm sorry, it's just so much that people are, it's the bare minimum of what, there's no substance. It's only materialistic things that makes them qualify. What about the inner things that makes a relationship and let alone marriage worth it? Like, like I said, like back in the day with grandma and granddad, even mom and dad, they had a foundation. You saw that love that, like, yo, no matter what grandma did, she held it down. Whatever granddad did, he held it down. Like, we've witnessed successful relationships and marriages last the test of time. But but then alone, you see people getting divorced left and right, even this, that, and the third. Like, it's just where divorce is the new norm now. Like, that's why I hate when I see these divorces, when people who you see for, like, yeah, they've been married for 22 years and they called it quits. And even like the people who you, if I could keep keep it a buck, the Cardi B and Offset thing, people was praising and worshiping them. Now they got a divorce. It's like there has to be a foundation in the, where you can look at a marriage, observe it, analyze it, and look at the mistakes. I definitely know that marriage. And I think what I'm trying to say is, like, when it comes to marriage, there's more to the meets that I like. I guess I'm trying to say, like, marriage is not a business deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what, if I marry you, what can you do for me? Hey, girl, if I marry you, you gotta do this for me. Like, there's no, it doesn't equate to what Jesus did for the church. It doesn't equate to that. Last time I checked, Jesus was not selfish. Like, if that was the case, Jesus would never got on the cross and, like, he like, what, I got to do what now? Oh, let me get up. Let me get off of
The
he
devil is a lie.
he like let me get off of this, get off this here tree. I'm out of here. Like, that's how you got to look at it. Like, no, that's why I love how in the Bible, how it says, husband, treat your wives as Christ did for the church. That's how marriage can out marriage can stand the test of time. You're going to go through trials and tribulations, but still, you got to realize, like, there's more to that than that meets the eye. And and also, let's get back to the conversation just about how people treat marriage the des as the destination and not the journey. I think that's pretty much what this podcast is about. It's about just how the church is making marriage the final finale. You
And
know,
let me clarify something real quick, Rodney.
go ahead.
When I say the church, like it's not just the church; it's people in general. Like
People.
I want to say it's the church, but no, it's the church. Never mind, because I was thinking
Hmm.
about people at my job, but then I'm realizing they're also believers,
No,
like
that's right. That's
strong
true
believers in their faith. So
for
I
sure.
think it is the church in general. Continue.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and not saying what they're doing is a bad thing. I do think sometimes it is coming from a place of love, and like how you said before, Mike. No, it's not good for a man to be alone. If you're walking in purpose, it's great to help someone be there by your side to help feed the vision or to help support the vision that God has instilled with you as you lead your family, things of that nature. Okay, great. That's fine. That's cool. Don't get wrong, but don't put a funnel in our mouth and shove it in there as if that's the only thing God wants out of us. There's a lot of successful people who are believers who are not married. We may not speak about them, but there are successful people who are not married. And it could have been, hey, maybe they don't see themselves being married, or hey, maybe it's just not their time. But like, we need to stop making people feel like singleness is a disease. No, I'm seeing a lot of people who were forced into marriage. Or Mike, I'm gonna do something even better. How many times have two believers got together and got married and they didn't like each other, but just because their families knew of each other?
Man, well, no,
Hey,
I've not heard that too much. I'm not gonna lie about it. I haven't heard about that too much. But I do know I know quite a few believers who got together and married because they were pressured by others to do it because it's the quote unquote right thing to do.
mm-hmm. How? Let me say this. How about if you're horny and you just want to have sex, just get married because you're in covenant.
All right, so I'm glad you said that, right?
Hmm.
So in First Corinthians
Come on now.
7 and verse 8, I'm gonna read quite a few verses on this, right? But the first
Mm-hmm.
verses that apply to it, right? So Paul's speaking to the church in Corinth about marriage and everything and singles. And he says, now to all the unmarried and to the widows, I say, it is good for them to stay unmarried as I do.
Come on now.
But if they cannot control themselves, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. Now, this is an NIV version, by the way. And he says, to the married I give this command, not I, but the Lord. A wife must not separate from her husband, but if she does, she must remain unmarried or else be reconciled to her husband, and a husband must not divorce his wife. So on both sides of the party, neither one of y'all can divorce each other, right?
Hmm.
He said y'all can separate. If you say separated, y'all can't. You have to remain unmarried. If you want to be married again, go reconcile with your husband.
Hmm.
To the rest, I say this: I, not the Lord. So now he's saying this his own thing. If any brother has a wife who is not a believer and she is willing to live with him, he must not divorce her. And if a woman has a husband who is not a believer and he is willing to live with her, she must not divorce him. For the unbelieving husband has been sanctified through his wife, and the unbelieving wife has been sanctified through her believing husband. Otherwise, your children would be unclean, but as it is, they are holy. Now, that's what
Hmm.
he was saying. He made that he made
Clear.
that distinction. But
Hmm.
from what he said, the Lord said, y'all can't separate. And also from what his own words, if you can't control yourselves, you should get married because it's better to marry than to burn with passion. So a lot of them will use that, right?
Hmm.
And they'll be like, well, it's better to marry than to burn. Now, in the King James Version, it doesn't it doesn't uh it doesn't specify about the passion part. It just says to burn. So a lot of people think it's talking about burning in hell,
Mm, that's true.
which I mean, if you look, like, it's not a that's not a big preaching point from Paul.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and so he talks about this, and it's like, all right, what's better than to marry than to burn with passion if you can't control yourself?
Mm-hmm.
So then, Rodney, what if I can control myself then? What if I
Mm-hmm.
haven't had sex in a few years?
Okay.
What if I'm not all up on pornography and everything, and I'm controlling my flesh and my lustful desires when they do arise? What if I'm in a constant state of worship kind of deal? Why should I have to get married? If I don't want it, why is this being pushed on me and making me seem like there's something wrong with me for not wanting it? Now, I'm speaking as
Mm-hmm.
just a believer, not like personal, well, no, kind of personal experience too. But I'm speaking overall because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people out here I know that don't want to be married and
Mm-hmm.
don't believe they're going to be married and still get
Mm-hmm.
pressured by people, feel pressured by the church in specific anyway. Is what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about.
For sure.
Still feel pressured by their community to get
Mm-hmm.
married and feel like there's something wrong with them if they don't. Particularly women. Women get this
Mm-hmm.
bad.
That's true. Women do kind of
Women get
get
it
that.
bad.
They do, for sure.
Men, like, we don't, but we kind of do. Like, especially if
Like,
like you're a good man, like they see it like, oh, that's a righteous man and everything. But women
mm-hmm.
get it bad because they also get it from the world. Whereas in
Yeah.
the world, like, men don't get it in the world like that.
Mm,
It's women
right,
that do.
for sure. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how, like, now tell me if this makes sense. Like, it kind of does, but it don't at the same time. I have this late, well, matter of fact, the one who I've been telling you about. Someone said you look married.
You look married.
You look married. I
What's that supposed to
like
mean?
exactly. Like, I've never heard someone say that before. So I'm like, she was like, well, how do you look married? And I'm like, wow, that's a great question. Like, that's a great question. So when you talk about women, that kind of did dawn on me when while we were speaking about this. But I do think the reason why, okay, so if I feel like if you have self control, you worship, you're focused on purpose, you're living a great life, but you're still getting pressured, I feel like that's just me personally. I feel like that's people trying to project or want you to have what they have,
Yeah.
which doesn't make which I feel it shouldn't make it right. Like, I feel like, I'll be honest, like, just how in like, let's be honest, Jesus wasn't married. I mean, his bride was a church, but Jesus reached purpose without having a wife, like a physical wife, if I could put it like that. Like, he reached purpose. He was focused on his mission, doing his father's deeds. Never once did he needed a female by his side, a woman by his side to do that. I do think, I don't know, maybe sometimes people just want to have a person just to say I have a person. But I feel like you shouldn't peer pressure no one to get married, just like how you should peer pressure to no one to have a drink, or peer pressure to someone to smoke this, or peer pressure to someone to go for that job. Like, I feel like that is a choice that person should make, just like how they had a choice to accept Christ. Like,
Yeah.
you should, especially if you don't have the urge to do it. No, it's not like someone woke up one day like, hey, I have the urge to take a drink. If someone who has never had a drink before ever, like I said, I mean, I had a friend, for example, who she hasn't drank ever. Like, she she never had the urge about it. She's around multiple friends, and multiple friends of ours, all of us are drinkers. I mean, I put my hands up. I ain't gonna say I don't drink, because I'll get struck down if I said I didn't drink. But all of us partaking in an alcohol substance, except for her. Now, she's going through a period of time where she's getting older, want to try different things. So she tried drinking wine. She's not a heavy drinker of wine or like that, but she take a few sips every now and then. But it's because she made a choice to, not because all of us in our vicinity was drinking, but she did out of all her own terms. It's been moments when one of our friends be like, "Come here, have a shot." No, I'm okay. I don't want to. Hey, drink this beer. No, I'm okay. I don't drink. I don't like the smell of it. It makes me sick. But that's the same thing how it has to be if someone is feeling pressured to get married or things of that nature. Like you, I'm gonna say this. I don't care who gets mad about this. You don't have to get married.
You know?
Nowhere in the Bible says, wait, okay, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're like the Bible scholar.
Oh, I'm a Bible scholar.
So in the Bible, does it say you have to get married?
No. No, it doesn't. In fact, like I just read with Paul talking to the church in Corinth, he said, I'd prefer that you don't. That way you could dedicate
Hmm.
your lives to the Lord like I have.
And Paul said that. Paul said that. I would rather. That's funny. I remember someone did a sketch off of that scripture one time. Go ahead,
No, real talk, though. I mean, just kind of
because
is what it is.
it is what it is. So it's like and like I said, just like with everything else, I feel with everything else, just in life in general, do it if it adds to your purpose.
Mm, yeah, definitely.
Like if I'll say this, if God is in it, pursue it. If you don't feel God in the relationship, if you don't feel God in it, don't do it.
Come on, Rodney, you cooking.
If like let's dip it in the bud. Like we've all been into situations that we've went into something and didn't ask for God's approval about it, or even as if God was in it, or once we got in it, we asked God to bless it, even though that was not in His will or His plan.
Keep cooking,
I've,
Rodney.
I've been guilty. I've been in relationships where I know it didn't add to my purpose, but it took away from my purpose or it poisoned it. And now I got to go back to God and ask God to heal the brokenness and the damage I've been through. When He said, "I didn't call you to be with this person anyway, but now because you went in there, now I got to clean up the pieces and love you and get you ready to get together to be with the person who I really wanted you to be with." And because you was with that person, now you don't really believe in marriage no more because they intoxicated your mind on what you thought marriage really is.
Gotta be like, why you so hard headed?
Exactly. Like, hey, I'm only speaking from what I know and what I've been through. And it's like, you know, we as a culture, believers, to not force anything like marriage onto someone in a when they're still when they're still walking.
Mm-hmm.
Just how you mentioned to me about your experiences, what you've been going through. Because like, let's be honest, like if we could be just honest, open, and transparent, like Mike, you was on fire for marriage. Like you was talking to me about the plans that you had for your wife and your 20 kids you wanted to have,
9,
and when
not 20. Put some
whatever.
spec on them 9
Uh,
kids.
All right, for your team, I know you had a fire and a desire for that, but now that desire is getting a little watered down based off of the stupid culture that we're in and examples of other believers who are forcing it on you and but also not being great examples of how great it is.
No,
You
that's
know,
very true.
y'all it's like, like y'all saying, marriage is great. You go ahead and get married and this will be the best decision you ever made. But next thing you know, you talking to me about how she gets on your nerves because she don't do A, B, C, and D.
Oh my gosh, she don't do this and she don't do that and she don't do this. And you know, one of the biggest ones that really got me, bro?
What's
I've
up?
heard this from a few guys.
Hmm.
Oh well, like it is true. Like when you do get married, like y'all not really gonna be having sex all that much after like the first couple months, and don't let you get her pregnant and have a kid. Then she really not gonna want to touch you. And I'm like, what's the point? You gonna tell me I'm gonna be in a sexless marriage? Yo,
Hmm.
what is the point in me getting into marriage? Like I have somebody here laying inside the bed next to me, and I can't touch you.
Right. The math ain't mathing.
Like it just it's crazy to me sometimes, man. It really is.
Exactly.
Yeah, we
Hold
really
on.
just went down a hole right there.
I
Uh,
mean,
man.
no, no. We ain't posting 2 weeks, so we had to give them a, a, a good portion, a good portion,
Yeah, I guess that's one way to put it. A good portion.
a good portion.
But yeah, all in all, man, I just feel like yeah, it is an issue of how we treat uh single people in
Mhm.
general in the ministry. Like it's not
Mhm.
fair.
Mhm.
It's not fair the way that single people get treated within the body of Christ a lot of the times.
Mhm.
And I feel like we've got to do better
Mhm.
than what we've been doing. You got to understand that everybody is not trying to get married. Everybody ain't necessarily built for it. And even if they are built for it, don't push it on somebody. We haven't like pushing anything on anybody is kind of crazy when you think about it. But like pushing something like marriage on somebody will get people to resent the idea of being married.
Mhm.
I think that's the easiest way I could put it. It will get people to resent the idea of marriage, the foundation of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Nobody wants to be
Right.
forced to do anything or pressured to do anything. If
Mhm.
people want to do things, like if someone's going to want to get into something like that, it's because they want to do it of their own volition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Like all in all, it's like just be sensitive and be careful to others. I do think what God has definitely placed the desire in most of us, to be married, to be that wife, to be that husband, to be that spouse that they desire to be. But you have to be sensitive and mindful about the information that you're giving or that you're pushing them. You know, they're still trying to figure themselves out as an individual already. Now you're trying to let them know to be a wife and a husband and the responsibilities. It's a reason why God doesn't reveal so much to us too soon, because we can be apprehensive and we can step back a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
let's be sensitive that, you know, where they're leading them and preparing them to, but just don't don't force feed them in it. Just be mindful, encourage them, and just be a good example, because everybody's watching, whether you know or not. Those who are husbands or wives who are listening right now, just know that people are watching you
Mm-hmm.
for
They're
sure.
definitely watching.
All right,
I'm glad
Mike,
we
you got
had
anything
this.
else you want to say?
I'm glad we had this discussion. This was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, this is very interesting discussion. Very kind of fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Glad we got to talk about forcing marriage on people and also just, kind of leaving folks alone. Just leave people, leave well enough alone. But yeah, basically, man, yeah, man, this is what it is. Let's try to, you know, not force our own preferences on others and everything. And then for everybody out there, like, if they are coming at you constantly like that, just tell them I'm not really interested in that. That's what I do. I'm not really. Nah, that's not it. I don't really want to do any of that, y'all, right now. Like, I'm focused on me. Focused on building a career. I'm focused on accomplishing great things. Hey, maybe I want to find a cure to AIDS. Who knows?
Who knows?
But I can't do that if I'm not just putting my head down and just focusing on that. I want to focus on what I want to focus on, and that's not another human being. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. So yeah, guys, y'all know what the deal is. The like, comment, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. Email us at the godmanpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll talk to y'all later next week.
All right, see y'all later.
Oh, actually, no, next week's Christmas Day. Christmas week. Rodney, I don't think we're recording next Monday. We
That's all right.
we can record like next. We can record like this Friday, I guess. No, we'll talk about that
Yeah.
off air. Bye,
Yeah.
y'all.